Galerion the Mystic, where were you? Dragon broke. Galerion the Mystic. That sounds intriguing. Yes. Galerion the Mystic by Asgrid Kolskreg. During the early bloody years of the Second Era, Venus Galerion was born under the name of Theseus, a serf on the estate of a minor nobleman. Lord Gyrnes of Shillinch Unker. Theseus' father and mother were common laborers, but his father had secretly, against the law of Lord Grinse, taught himself and Theseus to read. Lord Grinase had been advised that literate serfs were an abomination of nature and dangerous to themselves and their lords, and had closed all bookstalls within Sulich on Ker. All bookseller, poets, and teachers were forbidden, except within Grinse's keep. Nevertheless, a small-scale smuggling operation kept a number of books and scrolls in circulation right under Grinse's shadow. When Theseus was 8, the smugglers were found and imprisoned. Some said that Theseus' mother, an ignorant and religious woman fearful of her husband, was the betrayer of the smugglers. But there were other rumors as well. The trial of the smugglers were non-existent, and the punishment swift. The body of Theseus' father was kept hanging for weeks during the hottest summer Skolich on Ker had seen in centuries. 3 months later, Theseus ran away from Lord Grense's estate. He made it as far as Alnor, halfway across Somerset Isles. A band of troubadours found him nearly dead, curled up in a ditch by the side of the road. They nursed him to health and employed him as an errand boy in return for food and shelter. One of the troubadours, a soothsayer named Hieland, began testing Theseus' mind and found the boy, though shy, to be preternatally intelligent and sophisticated given his circumstances. Hilnad recognized in the boy a commodity, for Hilnad had been trained on the Isle of Arthium as a mystic. When the troubadour was performing in the village of Putantia, on the far east end of Somerset, Hilnid took Theseus, then a boy of 11, to the Isle of Arthium. The magister of the isle, Ishes, recognized potential in Theseus and took him on as pupil, giving him the name of Vanus Galerion. Vanus trained his mind on the Isle of Arthium as well as his body. Thus was the first Archmeister of the Mages Guild trained. From the Sygics of the Isle of Arthium he received his training. From his childhood of want and injustice he received his philosophy of sharing knowledge. Well, The founder of the Mages Guild, or the first archmagister of the Mages Guild train. Right, so he was trained in the mystic arts, presumably in the way of the Psijics, and from then on built the Guild of the Mages. Magic and magical knowledge is a very powerful thing in Tamriel. I wonder what their motivation was for training Galerion. Well, when was this? Let's see. During the early bloody years of the Second Era. And he started his training when he was 11? Yeah, okay. I was wondering if we could, if there's an in-game way we can see what era we currently are in. I can just Google it, but I want to know I want to only Well, the point of this is kind of to just use the game as much as possible to learn about the game, right? Galerion the Mystic. Wow, that was very cool. And then we have this very cryptic book. Where were you? Dragon broke. Where were you when the dragon broke? Wait, what? Where were you? Blank, blank, blank. Dragon broke. Where were you when the dragon broke? Okay, interesting. Maybe the cover is scrubbed or dusted, something. Korax Cyrodiil Elder Council. Oh, this is a character. Korax Cyrodiil Elder Council. No one understands what happened when the selectives danced on that tower. It would be easy to diminish the whole matter as nonsense, were it not for the Amulet of Kings. Even the Elder Scrolls do not mention it. Let me correct myself. The Elder Scrolls cannot mention it. When the moth priests attune the scrolls to the timeless time, their glyphs always disappear. The Amulet of Kings, however, with its oversoul of emperors, can speak of it at length. According to Hestra, Cyrodiil became an empire across the stars. According to Shor-El, Cyrodiil became an egg. Most say something in a language they can only speak sideways. The council has collected texts and accounts from all its provinces, and they only offer stories that never coincide, save on one point. All the folk of Tamriel during the Middle Dawn, in whatever when they were caught in, track the fall of the 8 stars. And that is how they continued their days. Mashir Nibis, Dunmer, Thrune, Mistress of the New Temple. Accounts of the Middle Dawn are the province of the Empire of Men, and proof of their deceit that call themselves the Aedra. 8 stars fell on Tamriel, one for each in Quathu that Lokrim made clear to the world. Voleth read these signs, and he told Boethria, who confirmed them, and he told Mafhila, who made wards against them, and he told Asura, who sent Al-Msivi to steer the true folk clear of harm. Even the four corners of the House of Troubles rose to protect the periphery of your madness. We watched our borders and saw them shift like snakes, and saw you run around in it like the spirits of old, devoid of math, without your if-thens, succumbing to the ever now like slaves of the slim folly, stasis. Do not ask us where we were when the dragon broke, for, of all the world, only we truly know, and we might just show you how to break it again. Ril Harth Khajiit, tender to the main. Do you mean, where were the Khajiit when the dragon broke? Really tells you where, recording it. 1008 years. You've heard it. You think the Kry Nordics came up with that all of their own? You humans are better thieves than even Rajin. Well, while you were fighting wars with phantoms and giving birth to your own feathers, it was the main that watched the Yakayai, because the moons were the only constant, and you didn't have the sugar to see it. We'll give you credit. You broke Alkosh something fierce, and that's not easy. Just don't think you've solved what you've accomplished by it, or can even solve it. You did it again with Big Walker, not once but twice. Once at Rimen, which we'll never learn to live with. The second time it was in Daggerfall, or was it Sentinel, or was it Wayrest, or was it all three places at once? Give me Cyrodiil. When you wake up and realize what really happened to the dwarves, Manimarku, god of worms, the necromancers. The three thieves of Morrowind can tell you where they were. So could the High King of Alinor, who was the one who broke it in the first place. There are others of this earth that could. There are others on this earth that could too. Yasmir, Pelinia, Arnad, the fox, or should I say Artius? The last dwarves would talk if they would let him. As for myself, I was here, the last dwarf. I was here and there and here again, like the rest of the mortals during the dragon break. How do you think I learned my mastery? The Markul selectives showed us all the glories of the dawn so that we might learn, simply as above as below. That is probably my favorite book so far. That is a wild ride. So this is interesting. This reference something that relates to it's. This book is very not comprehensible to read, which what it seems that this book is describing is something very conceptual, but also it seems to describe some happenstance, something that happened in the past, but this happening seems almost to be like a, a metaphorical thing. It doesn't seem to be really comprehensible material or understandable thing that happened, but it happened nonetheless, right? Uh, and when they say where were you, they seem to someone is asking this question to these people, right? Korax, Nabishi, Dunmer, a Cyrodiil, I assume, a Khajiit, and a Necromancer, god of worms. Don't know what the race of this person is. At least it doesn't say. Let's see. Amulet of Kings, blah blah blah. Yeah, so Amulet of Kings, the Elder Scrolls do not mention it. Correct, the Elder Scrolls cannot mention it. The Moth's Priest, yeah. So these are all different people from some very vastly different places of the world that are all being asked the same thing. And this one is with the Elder Council, this one's the New Temple. So this person that they're asking seem to be like priestesses or knowledgeable in mysteries, right? It seems like someone has specifically sought out masters or sages all around Tamriel in order to answer this question. And they get very different answers, but there's some consistencies, and the consistencies is that they all know about it, and they all mention a lot of things to describe this one single event when the dragon broke. Cyrodiil became a stars, an egg, 8. So it mentions. So here, the Cyrodiilian mentions the divine. The middle dawn also is something that I believe more than one mentioned. Accounts of the middle dawn are the province of the empire of men and proof of the deceit that called themselves the Aedra. Yeah. So the middle dawn seems to be a time or a place or a concept that the Cyrodiilians care for, but not the Dunmer. Interesting. And here we get talk about Lokram, which we don't really know who that is yet. 8 stars fell of Tamriel. He also mentioned something like that. All the folks of Tamriel during the Middle Dawn in whatever when they were caught in it. Right. So this Middle Dawn and this happening seems to be different from other things that happened in the history that we have known so far. The Middle Dawn is not. I don't think it's simply correct to say that the Middle Dawn, or what this book is describing, and the past and this happening, is simply in the past. It seems to be a more mystical and immaterial happening. This is written probably to the way this is written is like, yeah, it's very confusing. Veloth, I think that person is important. We will read more about them later. Read the signs, and he told Withria, which is a Daedric prince we've learned about from the Evocations of Asura book. Withra, who confronted him in Mafila. Words again. So we haven't read about Methila, I don't believe. But in this context, it is assumed I can make the assumption that she is a Daedric prince as well, who sent the Als Mivi to steer the true folk clear of harm. Right, this is also something we'll know more about in the future. House of Troubles. Succumb to the ever now like the slaves of the slim folly stasis. Yeah, okay. 1008 years. You've heard it. Yeah. A lot of things maybe might be red herrings. These people that whoever's interrogating these people that are being interrogated, or asked about these the dragon broke or whatever. When the dragon broke, it almost sounds like time broke or something like that. You think crypto Nordics came up with that all on their own? I was here and there. Yeah, I can. So this dragon break thing, I don't know anything, but it almost seems like a gap or something. It seems like a non-chronological history, like that is like a gap in like the history of Tamriel. Okay, well that's all those books. We did get levitate. Ooh, let's try this out. Oh my god! I actually cast it, but it took everything I had. Wow, look at that. Cool. Yeah, that's a very costly spell though, so we need to make some sort of spell that's actually have more reasonable price.
Hello, Outlander.
Let me sell some stuff. Can I interest an outlander? Ooh, well, Estridlia, high elf. She is. What's your background? Mage and apprentice of the Mages Guild. So she will handle our procedures and thingamajigs in order to make spells. Some people represent facilities in order for me to craft my own spells, which she is one of, and that is good. Oh yeah, this bet that's happening. What do you have to say about that? it doesn't surprise me. Okay. I was going to make a spell, but first... No. I want to make a spell now. Okay. Levitate. On myself only. You can levitate creatures, but there's not really a lot of point to it. Is plenty, I believe. And I'm gonna make the duration 10 seconds. Let's get down to business. So, this spell. It only costs 11 gold pieces. Let's see, what shall we name this spell? In classic fashion, I believe we should name this spell after ourselves. Golgvias Air Stride. Sure. And now we have... Oh, that spell, sound very classic. There you go. Now this is it's a much better spell to cast because we have a higher chance to succeed, and it's not that much slower. Our movement with levitate and movement in general is mostly determined about our speed. Higher magnitude would raise our speed, but it's not by that much.
Do
Okay.
you want something?
I might. Any other good spells? One thing I could get is a better summon Astral's Ghost. Again, the one I have, how long does this summon a ghost for? 60 seconds. That's most fights are not gonna last 60 seconds. I'm gonna do 30. Let's see, what is the spell? This is kind of swiftly calling upon an ancestral ghost. Ghost call? Some spectre. Vilva's call of Eva's astral striker. Pool of Oblivion. That's way too. Astral call. Ancestral call. Sure. Ancestral call. Gulgiva would have some ancestors that probably wouldn't mind helping, right? Oh, that's expensive. Nothing else I want? Unless I'm here? No, I think I'm good. Okay.